There are two kinds of people in an argument: those who need to be right and those who are intelligent enough to walk away. If you are the second kind, watch this until the end, because today you will learn why explaining yourself to people who do not want to understand you is not patience. It is self-destruction. You know that feeling. Someone misunderstands what you meant. Someone takes your words and twists them into the worst possible version. Someone becomes cold, sarcastic, distant, or acts like you are the one who created the problem. And what is your first instinct? To explain. You clarify every sentence. You repeat the full context. You try to prove that your intention was not bad. You apologize for things you are not even sure you did wrong. But in the end, they still do not understand. Or worse, they use your explanation to pull you into another round of the same argument. The problem is not that you were not clear enough. The problem is that you are using reason to negotiate with an ego that is trying to defend itself. Intelligent people often make one very dangerous mistake. They believe other people love the truth as much as they do. You think if an argument is correct, they will see it. If the evidence is clear enough, they will accept it. If your voice is calm enough, they will lower their defense. But many people do not argue to find the truth. They argue to protect the image they have of themselves. Because if they admit you are right, they do not just lose an opinion. They lose the feeling of being intelligent. They lose status. They lose control of the conversation. So they change the subject. They become sarcastic. They tell you, you think you're better than everyone. They make the issue stop being about truth and start being about you. A stubborn person is not afraid of the truth. They are afraid of feeling smaller because of it. There is a dangerous moment in every argument. It is the moment you stop explaining to clarify the truth and start explaining to make the other person admit you are not wrong. From that second, the power has already left your hands, because now your peace depends on their reaction. If they nod, you feel relieved. If they go cold, you panic. If they stay silent, you keep talking. If they misunderstand you, you rush to fix it. You think you are controlling the conversation with logic, but in reality, they are controlling your nervous system with their reaction. Schopenhauer understood this clearly. In many arguments, people are not searching for truth. They are protecting their pride. So if you keep explaining to someone who is defending their ego, you are no longer having a conversation. You are asking them for permission to feel at peace. And when you need them to understand you before you can feel calm, they already have power over you. This is the hardest part to accept. Not everyone who misunderstands you does it by accident. Some people misunderstand you because it benefits them. Some people twist your words because they want to stay the victim. Some people refuse to hear the truth because the truth would force them to take responsibility. You can say something very simple, and they will turn it into an attack. You can set a very normal boundary, and they will call you selfish. You can point out one honest truth, and they will say you are arrogant. And if you step into that game, you will be dragged into a strange courtroom. They create the accusation. They become the judge. They choose the rules. And you are forced to keep defending yourself. But you do not need to win inside a courtroom that was designed to find you guilty. Some people do not need your explanation. They need you to keep defending yourself so they can feel powerful. Intelligent people often hate silence because silence makes them feel like they are letting stupidity win. They want to correct the wrong sentence. They want to fix the distorted information. They want to put everything back into order. But silence is not always surrender. Sometimes, silence is the way you refuse to turn your intelligence into entertainment for people who do not deserve it. You do not need to explain everything you see. You do not need to correct every wrong opinion. You do not need to enter every argument just because you could win. A truly strong person is not the one who responds the fastest. It is the one who knows which battle is not worth entering. Because not every argument you win makes your life better. There is a part of you that still wants them to finally say, yes, you were right. You want that moment. You want them to see your logic. You want them to admit that you were not crazy. You want the emotional reward that intelligent people secretly crave, confirmation. The confirmation that you saw clearly, that you understood correctly, that your mind was not making it all up. But ask yourself honestly, why do you need a confused mind to confirm that your mind is clear? Why do you need a blind man to praise your painting? Why are you letting a chaotic person decide the value of a sharp one? Validation from someone who cannot recognize your value will not make you bigger. It will only make you more dependent. Seeking approval from people who cannot understand your worth is not intelligence. It is self-abandonment dressed as patience. You do not owe anyone a long lecture about how your mind works. Not everyone deserves your explanation. Not everyone deserves your patience. And not everyone deserves access to the deepest parts of your thinking. Your intelligence is an asset. Your focus is an asset. Your energy is an asset. And every time you spend them trying to convince someone who is committed to misunderstanding you, you are handing gold to a person who only wants to throw it into the mud. Schopenhauer understood this with cold clarity. Do not waste your intellect in a place where ego is stronger than truth. That does not mean you look down on people. It means you have finally learned how to protect your mind. Because some conversations do not make you wiser, they make you drained. Some people do not need more evidence, they need less access. And some arguments do not deserve your brilliance, they deserve your silence. Not everyone needs to be convinced. Some people only need to meet the boundary of your attention. Before you send another message, before you open your mouth to say more, stop. Ask yourself one question. Am I clarifying the truth? Or am I begging to be validated? Because those are not the same thing. If you are explaining because the truth needs clarity, speak once and speak clearly. But if you are explaining because you need them to admit you are not wrong, then stay silent. At that point, you are no longer communicating. You are asking another person for permission to feel at peace. And the moment your peace depends on their approval, you are already inside their game. A person who can pause before explaining is much harder to drag into emotional chaos. If you need to respond, keep it short. Say, "That is not what I said." Say, "I do not agree with that interpretation." Say, "I have already made my point clear." Say, "I do not want to keep arguing about this." One clear sentence is enough. You do not need to give 12 more reasons to a person who will use every reason as a doorway into another round. The longer you explain, the more doors you open for them to walk through. And once they enter those doors, they are no longer trying to understand you. They are trying to pull you back into the argument. This is the hardest step because it goes against your instinct. You want to fix the image they have of you. You want to correct the story inside their head. You want to make sure they know who you really are. But some people do not want the truth. They want a version of you they can blame. So, let them keep it. Not because you are weak, but because you are no longer spending your entire life editing yourself inside the minds of unfair people. The day you can be misunderstood without panicking is the day they lose one of the strongest buttons they use to control you. You do not need to win inside everyone's head. You only need to stop losing yourself while trying to. You do not need to become cold. You only need to stop donating your energy to people who use misunderstanding as a tool of control. Your explanation is not something everyone is entitled to demand. And your peace should never depend on whether someone chooses to understand you or not. There are people you do not need to convince. You only need to watch them, limit them, and keep moving. Because one day, you will realize that your silence was never weakness. It was never defeat. It was proof that you finally stopped letting other people drag you into their chaos. And now, be honest with yourself. Where do you over-explain the most? At work? In your family? In love? Or with friends? Comment just one word: work, family, love, or friends. And remember this: the place where you are most afraid of being misunderstood is usually the place where other people can control your emotions the most.